Hello, welcome to this stream. I'm going to fly in a Cessna 152 Aerobat from Melbourne. This is actually Moorabbin Airport in the southern suburbs of Melbourne. I'm going to fly west to Ballarat and then north to Bendigo and then probably back to Melbourne and land at a different airport, probably at Melbourne Airport. Or the other small airport, which is Essendon. So got a few choices there. For some reason, Microsoft doesn't start you off with full fuel. You have to select full fuel. They also don't let you get rid of the co-pilot. You only can adjust the weight. So in terms of weight and balance, we have a total of 200 pounds of pilots. So you can't get rid of the second pilot, but you can adjust the weight of the pilots down to very low levels. So the total weight of the pilots simulates one person's weight. It's 200 pounds. And then we got full fuel. So I needed to make those adjustments. It has to be said, I'm not very happy with the selection that is available for the pilot models. It's, to say the least, it's limited. So, yeah. Anyways, let's just go for a fly. Oh, by the way, I'm currently, I don't think you can see it, but I can. I'm looking at the FPS indicator in the top left-hand corner of the screen. It's showing 67 frames a second, which is better than I was getting on the previous flight. On the previous flight, the best I could get was about 45. Now I'm getting 70, and I've seen as high as 85. If you want to know how to do that, I just made a video of me doing some aerobatics in a C152A in this aircraft. Click on that video, be sure to read the description. It's got a link to someone else's video who I followed his instructions and I got this great result. The graphics are not really any different than when I had the low FPS result, but the FPS is much higher, much higher. I was getting, 35, 45 frames a second. Now I'm getting 75, 85, so it's a big improvement. Again, the link is in the description of that video. Another thing I've noticed, I'm getting a new joystick pretty soon, but check this out. This is my old joystick. I don't know if it's my joystick or if it's Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm moving this as slow as I possibly can. Yeah, man, that reminds me of a karate man doing punches in the air. It's so snappy, and you don't want to do that. I'm moving that as slow as I can, and it's kind of crappy, isn't it? So, or if you just move it normally, you get bam bam, you get full control deflection with just a small movement of the controls. And yes, I have adjusted the sensitivity, negative 70%. That's the sensitivity that I've got, and I've increased the null zone to 12%. Null zone 12% across all the axes, and except for the throttle because you don't need it. And yeah, 70%, negative 70% sensitivity, and it's still not really that great. Is it my joystick's fault? It could be, because my joystick's really long in the tooth, particularly with the rudder. That looks pretty good, but usually it's not as good as that. Usually you get this kind of really fast snapping of like a random snapping of the rudder, but I think that's my ancient joystick. There's a King Air, there's a Beechcraft King Air. This is live traffic, so anyone that's currently flying at Moorabbin Airport in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 is going to be visible just now. However, I've adjusted the time of day, so we've got live multiplayer traffic, but I've adjusted the time of day. Obviously, right now in Melbourne, it's, what is it, about 8:30 or something? 8:49 p.m. So it's dark. It's completely dark outside. But I've adjusted the time here. I've adjusted the time here to be starting off at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, and that's why it's daylight. But we do have the live weather. So this is either the live weather for the current time, 8:49 p.m, or it's the live weather for 9:30 in the morning. I don't know, but it's pretty awesome. So those are the points that I wanted to cover, and without further ado, let's take off. Today I needed a bit of right rudder, which is more in line with expectation, but now I'm needing left rudder. Yeah, so the control thingo is not ideal. So if you see it all snapping around and everything and wobbling all over the place, that's why. Pretty low cloud base. So we're in the south of metropolitan Melbourne, Moorabbin. There we go. There's the coast. I think this is Port Phillip Bay. Yeah, that's pretty good. I might actually trim that up. I should probably try flying just with the trim for elevator. Hopefully the volume's okay. I think it depends where you are, which give a perspective on the aircraft as to how loud it is. I'm getting 67 frames a second right now, which is a heck of a lot better than the maximum of 45 that I was getting previously. So guys, what I've done is I've pre-cached the route for today. I've done it slightly differently than last time. Last time the route was much shorter than this one is, and I pre-cached everything in the highest detail, whereas this one I've pre-cached Melbourne in the highest detail with 4 squares. It's hard to explain unless you've done it. Like 4 squares of the highest detail for Melbourne, 2 squares of the highest detail for Ballarat, 2 squares of the highest detail for Bendigo. The speed's pretty high. And what else? And then all the rest of the journey is covered by whoa, there goes that rudder. Is covered by medium detail squares. So we got the whole journey covered. It's a long distance. We may not return back to Melbourne. Might end up landing at Bendigo. So anyways, the point is the whole route is pre-cached, at least to some extent. It's either in the highest definition or in the medium definition, and nowhere at the low definition and nowhere without any kind of caching. So we should get pretty good graphics of the ground. Hello guys in the chat, I just opened up the chat there. morning from Ohio, fly over Cooper Beatty, out in the desert where they mine the opals. Joystick, I mean, it's a good one, but it's just really old. It's Extreme Logitech Extreme 3D Pro. Logitech is also called Cytek, S-A-I-T-E-K, Cytek. Same company, Logitech, Cytek. The one that I'm getting though is a VKB Gladiator, so that should be here soon. Yeah, the downside to Flight Sim is there's no crashes at all, none at all. It just goes to a blank screen. You got the X56, Cytek X56, cool. Plane still knows it. So because we've got a long way to travel, and because this plane is relatively slow, I'm not going to dilly-dally too very much. I'm going to kind of keep the pace going. So I will do a bit of sightseeing over Melbourne, but not too much. Frame rate just went crazy low then. Well, actually not really, it went down to 32. Now it's at 68. So this here is a bay. It's called Port Phillip Bay. It's pretty good. There's a yacht club there. Relatively calm weather in here, in Port Phillip Bay. There's a container ship on the horizon, which is pretty well true to life. There's always container ships and cruise ships going in and out of Port Melbourne through Port Phillip Bay. We're currently flying towards a suburb called St Kilda. It's on the coast of the bay here. And Melbourne has lots of football clubs, and there's a famous football club from St Kilda, St Kilda Football Club. So to make the frames per second higher, I turned down a lot of the graphical detail, but it doesn't seem to have impacted it negatively too very much. It still looks, in my opinion, it still looks about the same. The only thing I'm considering increasing again is the clouds, because I want to see if the clouds look particularly any different with the highest graphics settings for the clouds. if they go from looking like this to looking spectacular, I might do it, but they already look really excellent anyway, so this is really pretty damn detailed. And this is live weather. I'm flying though at 9:30 AM, so is it live weather to 9:30 AM, or is it live weather to right now, which is about 10 to 9 PM? Not too sure. Pretty cool though. So you don't have to specify what kind of weather you want. It's live weather, so whatever's happening gets displayed in the game. I think that's such a good feature. Yachts, lots of yachts. As you can see, there's lots of suburb. We're just starting to get a bit closer to Melbourne. We're not there yet though. This is St Kilda right here. This is called, this park here is called Albert Park, and this is where they currently have the Australian Formula One Grand Prix. So you can see some cars here, although I think they cancelled this year's one, the bastards. I'll have to go to the next year's one, I guess, if they actually hold it. So yeah, Grand Prix down here. Lots of ovals, lots of sporting venues. And here's Melbourne. So the Port of Melbourne entrance from Port Phillip Bay, the entrance to Melbourne Port is right there. Goes in there, goes in there, goes in there, and then it gets to Melbourne itself. So the port goes right into the city basically and terminates about there. Looks, how does it look? It looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. Some of the buildings look a bit simplistic, but that's probably because I've turned down the graphics settings. I'm currently getting 58 frames a second. When I jumped into the city, the frames dropped down to 16. That there is a whopping great casino. That's Crown Casino. What river is this? This is the Yarra River. Yarra. Train station. That right there is basically the centre of town. And that's Swanston Street. That's Rod Laver Arena. Lots of tennis there. It looks pretty bad actually. It could look a little bit better, but that would be with full graphics settings turned on, like I had before. There's the... what the heck? Good. I think that's supposed to be the MCG. It doesn't look anything like it. That. Is that it? That kind of looks like it, I guess, but no, not really. That is a sports stadium. That's one of the biggest stadiums in Australia. It doesn't, kind of looks like an office block. Anyways, let's continue. So that's Melbourne. Not too bad. Bit of a performance hit on the FPS. Alright, now the fun begins. G'day Christian, welcome. So now I have to figure out what track I want to fly to get to the first waypoint, which is Ballarat. I think I'm trying to visualize the map in my head. I think it's about 300 degrees. Maybe I'll just play it by ear. Good way to get lost. Giant race course there. Which one is that? I don't know, it's one of them. That's a horse racing track. So we should be heading west. Yeah, we're heading west, good. So we are roughly on track to get to Ballarat. How long is it going to take? I don't know. Maybe half an hour. This is a pretty long journey. I've taken full fuel for a reason. Much longer than the previous live stream. I apologise ahead of time if the stream drops or anything like that. The previous stream was uneventful in that sense. But you never know. As you can see, it's just masses and masses of suburbs. If you keep on going in this direction for about, I don't know what it is, probably 600 kilometres, you get to Adelaide, which is where I was in the previous live stream. So basically we're going to fly ahead for approximately 100 kilometres and then we're going to turn north, probably about 30 degrees we'll be heading, and then we'll fly in that direction for about, I don't know what the distance is, maybe just a bit over 100, maybe 130, 150 kilometres. And that gets us from Ballarat to Bendigo. And then from Bendigo, we might stop and land and that'll be it, or depending on how the time is going, might turn around and fly back to Melbourne. I'm going to change course and go 300. We can see a plane in the distance there. My immediate thought is it an AI plane or is it a multiplayer plane? PvP. Person versus person. That's not the right acronym. Anyways, you know what I mean. Someone else. Not an AI aircraft. You can see him blinking over there. Is there two of them? I can see at least one. Yeah, there's two there. I swear, unless it just lagged or something, I reckon there's two there. I don't know, maybe it's just lag. We're going about 290 now, it's a bit better. Again, lots of suburbs. And look at the weather. If I'm not mistaken, something is happening with the weather that's different. This could pose a problem. What happens if we get stuck in cloud? What happens if the visual conditions deteriorate? Oh, this could be a problem. I don't think the weather's that bad. I don't think the weather was that bad today. Remember, we started this flight at 9:30 a.m. today, even though I'm flying it right now at about 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. So a reverse time type thing. Outside air temperature up here, about 9 degrees, I think. Yeah, about 9 degrees, which is accurate. That's how cold it was today. You can see the terrain, the colour of the terrain is showing a summer terrain, even though you've got winter weather. It's winter here right now. You've got winter weather, but it's showing a summer terrain, which is a bit discombobulating. That's summer appearance right there, but the weather itself is winter. So just something to note, I guess. Now let's keep going 300. I think the weather's going to be like this for the whole flight. We'll just have this kind of pea soup kind of low hanging cloud, but the visibility is still there. You could always go above the cloud, I guess, but not much good doing that because you can't see the ground. Alright, so we're going 300. Looking at my map on my phone to see what I reckon the track is to Ballarat. There's a big road that goes out there. I should just find it and follow it. I have a feeling it's down there. It looks to be about 280, 290. Let me see if I can find that road. Yeah, I think I found it. Look at that. We got a freeway there. Too easy. So, assuming this is the correct one, I'll just follow it. I'll just follow it, and that should take us to Ballarat. That weather is slightly concerning. Got to make sure I'm going the right direction as well. This road could actually be going to the other big city that's around here, which is Geelong. Yeah, the compass seems to be showing 300. If that's the case, let's just let it balance out. Yeah, it looks like 300. That means we're going the right direction. But the road's curving off to the left. Oh yeah, the ashtray is definitely in the real plane as well, and you can open it. But in here you can't open it, nor can you open the door or the window. The window in the Cessna 152 is it has a speed rating on it that you can open it. I think you can open it pretty much at any cruising speed. If you're just cruising along, you can open it. So it's designed for that. So it's pretty cool. And it opens upwards. So you unhook it at the bottom and then it sort of lifts up. Where are we going? About 280, and there's that road there. That's got to be it. I just had to make sure the road wasn't going to lead me to Geelong, which is down there. I can't make up my mind whether this scenery is a gimmick, whether it's gimmicky or whether it's really good. Perhaps a bit of both. Here's a brand new suburb development. More suburb developments. We have a body of water there, looks like a river. What kind of a river would that be? Oh, of course, I've got a map. I have a map. Oh, that's cheating. I can't use the map. I have to wing it. I pretty much could, I think. We're sort of on track at the moment. About that, eh? I don't know how useful this map's going to be. That's Ballarat there. And that track is about 290, I reckon. Let's get back on track. I'm impressed by the weather. I got to say that the weather is exciting because it's one of the big challenges of flying a plane like this is the weather. And so this mimics that very well. You have the air of that. You have the possibility. You have the uncertainty, genuine uncertainty. To put uncertainty into a video game is really almost impossible unless you've got some live feed to like an underlying thing that changes that's in nature, like the weather report. And so here's true randomness. We actually have the real weather, and it just does whatever the weather does, and that's awesome. That means potentially having to divert to other aerodromes, having to put down if the cloud gets too strong, etc., etc. So that adds a whole dimension of challenge to the whole thing, and makes it less boring than I thought it was going to be. So we've got something there. Looks like a salt lake and a bit of a hill, some hilly, like national park or something there. Or is it it's a mine, I think. It's an open cut mine, not a salt lake. So that's an open cut mine, and that's a hill, which is significant because we've been on a flat plane so far. We just took off from Moorabbin Airport in Melbourne, and we're heading to Ballarat. if I don't get lost on the way. There's the freeway there. Pretty hard to get lost, I think. Unless you end up in the clouds, and then it can be an issue. Exterior view. So here's the freeway that we've been following. We'll just keep following that until we get to Ballarat. More suburban developments. I honestly don't know if you can select a season. I don't know, but the topography seems to be made up of summer surface photography and winter surface photography, i.e. like dry and green. So I don't know, it's fun finding out the extent of how detailed the game goes. This here is just looking like real life. Some of it is just lifelike as. I guess I'll try all of the planes at some point. This one, I particularly like this one. This is one of my favourite planes in the whole world. So I'm very keen on flying this one. I'll probably start flying some of the other ones soon. So how's that weather? It's not getting any better, is it? I honestly think the cloud base is going to stay where it is for the day. Don't forget we started at 9:30 a.m. So as the day heats up, as the sun comes up, it's likely that cloud would get heated and would lift up. And if that's the case, it gives us more visibility. You just found Ballarat on the map? Yeah, good stuff. I think we'll be there pretty soon. You can fly this thing at full power, but the cruising power setting is supposed to be 2300 RPM. So that's what I'm going to try and stick to. 21, 22, 23, there we go. Yeah, I did fly over the city. I briefly flew over Melbourne. But I didn't stay there for too long because the distance that I'm going to cover right now is pretty long. So I'm trying to keep moving. I haven't actually measured how far we're going to go. It's probably going to be about somewhere between 300 and 450 kilometres today. Providing I don't crash. Look at this weather. Look at this bloody weather. What's our heading? Man, this sucks. Might have to resort to the artificial horizon soon. We got some kind of a lake there. We're nowhere near Ballarat. We've still got miles to go. Mixture, Unless you're flying on a really hot day or unless you're at high altitude, this plane you want the mixture at 100%. I think the first flight that I did in this plane in the game, I took off from I think it was probably Colorado. I think it was Denver, Colorado. And I was trying to get airborne. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. How am I supposed to do this? Why you gotta do this? Why you gotta do me like this? ...200 feet altitude. Heading 280, 290. Might just have to do that until the weather cleared. Or I can just keep an eye on the freeway. I'll probably lose the freeway at some point though. Land on the highway and drive, yeah. We're climbing a bit. I can still you can kind of see the cars moving. Might be helpful to fly actually over the top. Oh yes, I haven't given up on Red Dead. I'll still be doing some more streams of that. Am I up to part 7 or part 8? I can't remember, but yeah, I'll be doing the next part soon. Wow, look at that view out the window. 200 feet, a little bit more than 200 feet. I've still got the freeway down there. It's all good. I was being optimistic. I was thinking this weather's just going to stay, the cloud base is just going to stay high. As soon as I left the coast, the clouds dropped. And this is what we got here. So far, so good. Do you reckon is it getting worse? It's not getting any better, is it? Lucky I've got the freeway. You know, I'll be honest with you, is it clearing? I don't know. One good thing about flying instead of driving in this kind of conditions is that there's no possibility at all when you're flying in these conditions of hitting a kangaroo. All these guys down here driving, they have a big problem in that they're going along and there's going to be kangaroos. Getting 68 frames a second right now, which I'm pretty happy about. You can never tell until you actually try what kind of performance you're going to get. can see the trees, but I can't see the road itself. What happens if I fly alongside it? That's better. External view is much easier. This out, not bad, eh? Yeah, if there's any kind of high tension power line going over the freeway, that could pose a problem. I don't think there is, but it's pretty flat around here as well. We don't get into the hills until later. I don't know what's going to happen with this weather, but it's my prediction that one way or another we're going to be out of it pretty soon. Either the sun will heat up the weather in about probably 45 minutes time, or we'll just fly out of it as we get further inland. What do we got here? A few turn-offs. Wonder where we are. Well, we're getting closer to the destination. That road's very curved. If I just keep following the road, that's probably the best thing to do, but it doesn't fly a direct line to the destination. I was not expecting this weather, that's for sure, which is, it's good. I'm enjoying the challenge. And these poor guys on the road down here, they have to do hundreds of kilometers in the fog. There's a farm. Another farm. We should be okay at this altitude. Oh, pretty disconcerting looking at it from this point of view. There we go. There's a bridge. In real life, this would be mega scary, this kind of view. It is a long distance, but I'm thinking we're going to be there probably in the next 5 or 10 minutes. wonder how thick that cloud is. You can try and outclimb the cloud, but then you've got to descend through it again, which is a hassle. Because you don't know what the visibility is, you might descend right into the ground before you see the ground. That's the problem. So, not such a great thing to do. It's a pretty big tree right there. Another farm. Lots of farms around here. We've well and truly left the city. We're in the farms now. Although we're getting into another city, which is Ballarat. I'm trying to keep just above the freeway so I can still see it. As long as I can still see the freeway, then I'm good. If I lose track of it, then it's problematic. Another farm. Haven't seen any other aircraft since I left the city. I never crash. Touch wood. Ah, look at that. The weather's clearing. Just as I predicted. Ah, there we go. Bam. And more farmland with housing developments on it. It looks like we haven't even left Melbourne. But we have. Stop off at Sovereign Hill. So basically, we're really close to Ballarat. I guess, I don't know if I'll try a landing there or not, because we got a long way to go and all. That weather really cleared up, at least for the time being. There could be more bad weather on the way, but I think it's going to be less than what we just got through. Palm trees. That's a surprise. Oh yeah, the IL-2 vids. Yeah, a few crashes in those. I'd say we've arrived at Ballarat, wouldn't you? Look at that. And of course the map navigates you from airfield to airfield, not from city to city. So the map doesn't show that we're at YBLT, because we're not. We're at the city. As you can see out here, YBLT is Ballarat Airfield, which we'll probably see in just a minute. So there's kind of a rivalry between these two cities that we're going to today, Ballarat and Bendigo. And which one, the question is, which one is the best city? Which one's better? They're both small cities and they're inland small cities, Ballarat and Bendigo. Which one is better? Which one's better? And they're both about the same distance away from Melbourne, but in opposite directions. Bendigo's to the north and Ballarat's to the west. So I might head to the airfield and then see what that looks like, and then change direction and go about 30 degrees and go north. How's the fuel situation? Oh, we've used up a quarter. Ho ho ho. I was at full power for a long time, but wow, that fuel's going down. A quarter already. Here's an airfield. I think this is Ballarat. Yep, so this is Ballarat Airfield right here. Looks pretty nice. I wonder if there's a facility to refuel. That would be good to know. So I'm going to try and remember to stay at 2300 RPM instead of 24 to stay at the cruising power and to save my fuel. That's the fuel right there. We've used up quite a bit already. Looks like we've used more than a quarter. I think the water looks quite good. So now we're going about 10 degrees, which is okay. And how's this bloody weather going? So we're starting to get some mountainous, some hills. There's a race course. I don't plan to land at Moorabbin. Since I took off there, I'll probably land at Melbourne or at Essendon, assuming I get that far. Any number of things that can go wrong, not just in the flight, like running out of fuel or something, or not being able to refuel, but also it's unfortunately it's highly likely that the stream will actually crash at some point, which will be the end of the show. Not saying that it will happen, don't think it will, don't want it to, but plenty of times streams crash, so it's something to be aware of. That weather, bloody hell, that weather. So that was Ballarat, and I'm heading to Bendigo. Avoca, possibly, although I didn't plan to do that, so I might go over Castlemaine. So obviously we're out in the farmland now. Check that out. Whoever has that house is a legend. That is the best house. Right up on top of a hill. That's perfect. So this entire area that we're in right now, it has a name. It's called the Golden Triangle. I think there's one in Burma or somewhere, but that's a different kind of golden triangle. This one is an actual golden triangle. It's all about gold. I believe to date, the most, I would say, when you're talking about records for digging up gold, this is basically the place in the whole of world history that has produced the most. So much gold came out of this area. For example, the world's biggest gold nugget, nicknamed the Welcome Stranger, it came out of this particular region. And I think how much did it weigh? I honestly can't remember. Something around 100 kilograms. It was bloody huge. I think it was 70 centimetres long, about 2 feet long. So that town that we were at, Ballarat, is a gold town. The town that we're heading to, Bendigo, is a gold town. And those two towns, plus some other point on the map, make a triangle. And the area within is the Golden Triangle. There was a gold rush here in the cowboy days, in the Wild West days, back in the 1800s. And in a nutshell, that's the significance of this region. It's a pretty interesting region. Terrific purity of gold as well. Yeah, that's right. So back in the day, the old timers, some of them, they came from far and wide, and some of them would have made out really well, and some of them would have found absolutely nothing. So it's a bit hit and miss. My controls are not very good at the moment, and I'm thinking mostly that's to do with my ancient physical joystick, and when I get my new joystick, hopefully that'll fix all the problems. Not the best weather, is it? The plane's very well trimmed out now. I got my hands off the controls and it's just cruising along. This is a light plane. It has a 110 horsepower engine only. From a car perspective, that's not very much, is it? 110 horsepower. But the size of the engine will probably surprise you. It's at least, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's about a 4-litre engine, or maybe 4.5 litres. So it's a huge engine for a small plane. And it's a huge engine for something that only produces 110 horsepower. And they do that on purpose for the reason of reliability, to make the engine reliable. You can operate the engine at 100% power indefinitely. So one of the major reasons that you can do that is just the sheer size of the engine. And that you can see that concept working as well. If you ever go to a fair or something and they've got old machinery there, like old steam pumps or something, sometimes you'll see they've got an old steam engine, like a stationary one for use on farms or sawmills or something, and it might produce like 2 horsepower or something like that, and the thing must weigh, 400 kilograms. And you'd think, what's the point of an engine that weighs so much and produces so little power? One of the benefits of it is it's so reliable. It just never breaks down, it just goes forever. And those engines are usually 100 plus years old. You can use a smaller engine to get the same 110 horsepower, but it'll be requiring greater maintenance, and it might fail on you. One thing is you need maximum horsepower at most critical times, like when you're taking off. So when you're taking off, you're using full power, and that's exactly when you don't want the engine to fail on you. So it needs to be able to comfortably produce full power, hence the large displacement engine for an engine that doesn't produce much power from a car's point of view. I think cars with an engine that big are producing 300 horsepower as opposed to this one's 110. The other thing you can do is you can go for a two-stroke engine, and that'll produce a lot of power. There's plenty of ultralight aircraft engines that are two-stroke with that distinctive two-stroke sound. I might have to check the map, I think. I don't know where I am. I know I'm going in the right direction, but what do we got? We've got a lake there. We've got a lake there. We've got maybe a small river there, or a canal. It's just a canal. It's sort of turning into pea soup weather again. All I can really see is, oh yeah, the weather's sort of a bit clear over there. I think the weather's just going to continue to clear. We've got a lake, and that's about it. I can see some hills over there. More challenging to navigate in this kind of weather, obviously, because you can't see far off into the distance. We've got some kind of a lake there as well. Two lakes on the left-hand side. And I think I see a lake in front. There's something in front. It's too far away to see it properly though. It is a pretty nice looking plane. It's a funny looking plane, but it flies is the important thing, and it's got everything that you need. Check that out. We just had one lake, now we got a whole bunch of them, and we're still going just to the right of north. That's a distinctively shaped lake. I reckon the weather is clearing on the horizon. Over there, I think the weather's clearing. How's the fuel? Oh, we're getting on towards half fuel. This map's not so useful because it just shows you some really basic stuff. I can't even tell where Bendigo is. Let me check the map on my phone. I'll look at Google Earth on my phone. Alright, we're on track. And how far have we got to go? We get to that big lake there, and then we go over towards that hill. And we're almost halfway from Ballarat to Bendigo, so we're halfway along this journey, this leg of the journey to the next waypoint. How's the fuel? Let's try and predict the fuel. So we're not quite at half fuel yet. If I fly well, like if I just keep it smooth, I think we'll have enough fuel to get back to Melbourne. Check it out, you got the clouds clearing over there. How picturesque is that? How's that for a pastoral scene? Like something out of an oil painting from the olden days. Something out of the Wild West as well. So from this lake I'm going to go 30 degrees, which is what I'm heading right now. And that'll get us to Bendigo. What fun, hey? Yeah, that's right. There's still plenty of 152s around. That weather seems to be clearing. My prediction is that the weather is going to just keep clearing, and it's going to be more like this. Yeah, you can get a very good 152 for 80 grand, or 40, even 40. You'd get you something fairly decent, I think. Heck, you can buy a 152 on eBay sometimes for like 2 grand, but it's not in serviceable condition. So depends on the condition of the plane, of course. I'm trying to maintain 30 degrees. Power's too high. Bring it back a tad. There we go. Just to save on fuel. Check out that. So we got a bit of a pseudo mountain there, big hill. And this is a slow plane by aircraft standards, but we are doing, what's that, 110 knots? 110 knots. So if you times that, to get that speeding kilometres per hour, times it by something like 1.85, that gives you the speeding kilometres an hour. It's probably about 200 kilometres an hour. I was intending to fly over Castlemaine, and I probably did, but I missed it. Oh well, not to worry. reduce power and then increase the back trim a bit. Did I say Castlemaine? I meant Maryborough. No, I meant Castlemaine. Heck, we could almost just about go there. I think that's it. It's over there somewhere. We don't have enough fuel. I've got to keep going. One thing with this game, when you're zooming in and out using the scroll wheel on the mouse, if you've got the mouse hovering like I had just then anywhere over the instrument panel, you're likely to flick some switches on the instrument panel by mistake as you wind the scroll wheel, as you scroll the scroll wheel. So whenever I zoom in and out, sometimes I don't even think about it, but I try to keep the mouse pointer away from the instrument panel. You could literally turn the scroll wheel and turn the ignition off while you're zooming out. So that kind of thing. Suppose I should check the moving map. What do we got here? Well, that bad weather's disappeared. Left that behind. Oh wow. If I can be bothered to just actually lean forward a few inches, then I can actually do that. That might be a better idea than using the mouse scroll wheel, I think. But that means I have to exert some effort. But that might be the way to go. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Provided the track IR is letting me, I'll just do that. Sometimes it doesn't play ball. But then what about if you want to see in the distance? You still need to scroll in and out. I don't know. Did I raise the flaps? Yes, I did. So it looks like we're coming into Ballarat now. We've got half fuel left and we've done 2 legs of the journey, so we actually got enough fuel to get back to Melbourne, so that's pretty good. Getting 73 frames a second right now, so that is really good. And the graphics are stunning. So I'm getting really good frames per second, and I've got really good graphics as well. And that was all down to the settings that I adjusted according to this video that I watched. So that has been very, very useful. Otherwise I would have had to tinker around with the settings for about 5 months until I figured out what was the correct one. Yeah, no, I haven't really looked into those kinds of things. The only thing I looked at briefly was the G meter, which is, it's good that it's got a G meter because it's an aerobat. I say, where's Bendigo? Have I flown past it? One thing though is that the draw distance maybe for some of the bigger buildings is delayed, so you can be on the verge of getting into a big city, and because it hasn't drawn the skyscrapers yet, you won't necessarily know it. It's that kind of thing. That's it there, I would say. I would say that that's it there. If that's not it, then I'll check the map. You can see how dry it is out here. I'm digging the feature of this sim that you can basically fly anywhere in the world, and even seeing my own backyard from the air is very exciting. And I haven't even started to look really at all the awesome wonders of the world, like the Grand Canyon, the pyramids, everything else. You can literally go anywhere. So one thing, I just flew Ayers Rock before this, and I was blown away by the gargantuan scale of Ayers Rock. I never expected it would be like it is. It's massive. It's huge. In my opinion, now that I've seen it, the volume of Ayers Rock, if you were to liquefy that rock and pour it into Sydney Harbour, there'd be no water left. Like it's that humongous. Here's Bendigo. It's that humongous that it would fill up. Its volume would fill up Sydney Harbour. Ayers Rock's absolutely massive. I think you could probably fit about 5 or 6 pyramids, the Great Pyramid, into Ayers Rock. Or more. It's that kind of huge volume. So that really surprised me. Colouring of the landscape is perfect, isn't it? That's something they've got really, really accurate. Frame rate just dropped to 21, but now it's back up to 70. So here is Bendigo. They don't seem to show you Bendigo Airport wherever it happens to be on this map. This map is annoying. Maybe it's that. Oh. Looks like we've got a bit of a mine right there. Probably an old mine in the centre of town. A few hills. So these towns are not so very big. You probably fly for about 3 minutes and you get to the other end of town in any direction. They're not huge towns, cities. That weather has pleasingly cleared, it's lifted. You can tell that the weather's lifted. So on the way back I might be able to increase my altitude a bit, maybe up to 4,000. Yeah, that's the thing, when you actually get to these sites and they can be different to what you pictured them as. I was expecting Ayers Rock to just be like, I mean it is just a rock, but yeah, it was different than I expected it. Why BDG? Yeah, that makes sense. I couldn't see it on the map. It's probably that marking that says Telip. In fact, I can see something over there. That's got to be it there, I think. Let's just have a quick look, and then I'll head back to Melbourne. And that'll conclude the stream. So that looks like a airfield to me. It's just kind of it's got some infrastructure there, semi-drawn kind of thing. This has got to be Bendigo Airfield, I would say. What the heck? I don't know what. Their photography is not really doing it in this particular instance. There's a racing track. You can see a gradient there in their photography from winter to summer. Really clear. I think that's what it is anyway. So it's pretty much time to head back to Melbourne, I think. So we got half fuel. Oil temperature and pressure is okay. Everything's okay. And that looks about 2300 to me. Bring it back a tad. There we go. Yeah, what instruments have we got? What's that? That looks like a direction finder. Maybe it's a VOR or something. Not sure. What's that? That'd be a... Oh no, ADF, automatic direction finder. That's probably it there, like the instrument cluster. You've got the ADF tuner at the bottom, and then the top is probably the needle that you follow. I think in real life most planes are just putting a GPS in the cockpit, or heck, just looking at the iPhone and checking the Google Maps. What else have we got here? There's something there. What is that? So this plane does have a few navigation instruments. It's got the NDB and it's got that there, which is probably a VOR. So there you go, and some data on how to recover from a spin. Going back, I want to be going about 150, 160, I think, which I'll need to turn this way. Bendigo Cup at the racetrack. Yep, that sounds about right. I assume it's that racetrack there. $150, $145 is too much. So the goal, guys, the goal now, which I think we're going to do it, we're going to smash it, is to get back without running out of fuel. Without running out of fuel. And the problem with this as well is that we're flying back into that bad weather. But the good news is there's probably been about, 40 minutes since we took off. So we took off at we took off after 9:30 because I stayed on the ground for a few minutes talking. And as the sun heats the clouds, as the sun comes up, it lifts the clouds. So now that we're heading back into that previously very foggy, cloudy area, we can expect that those clouds will have lifted a bit. And hopefully they've lifted enough that I can get in underneath them. We got some hills over here. Engine needs adjusting. So this plane doesn't have a manifold pressure gauge like a lot of the planes in IL-2, which are warplanes with turbochargers and things like that. This plane doesn't have a geared propeller. It's just got a fixed pitch propeller. So the faster the engine spins, the faster the propeller spins. So that means if you climb, the engine slows down a bit. If you descend, the engine speeds up a bit. So I'm trying to trim the plane out just to cruise along at 2300 RPM, so I don't run out of fuel. There's also some switches in this cockpit that are inactive. Those ones there are inactive. If I hover the mouse over. Oh, that one's active. Low sense, high sense. Okay. What about this one though? This one is, yeah, inoperable. Inoperative. That's the inactive switch I was thinking of. About that test. Inoperable. Oh yeah, you can move this one. Volume. Okay. Alright. And then a switch there that's inoperable. So it's a bit of a mixed bag of switches that work and switches that don't work. The Spitfire's in IL-2, but it's not in this game. It's not in Microsoft. So we've used up a lot of fuel. We've got about, I don't know, about 40-45% fuel left. And what should I be going? Currently I'm going 80, and I should be going way different than that. I should be going 150, 160. Well, in Microsoft Flight Sim, there's no warbirds at all. There's only civilian aircraft. Flying over more farms. Nice one there. It's my hope that Microsoft will encourage third-party developers or what have you, or they'll make them themselves, to start making more DLC planes that you can buy extra. You know, like pay $30 and get another plane or whatever, and that they'll start offering really cool planes that you can fly in. The initial lineup is pretty extensive, especially if you get the deluxe pack or the super deluxe pack or whatever. But it's more what I'd call boring planes, for want of a better term. I've got to get back on track. I'm going too far east. Yeah, exactly. Imagine that. Imagine getting into a plane that was as high quality as the way they've done this one, but it was a Lancaster or something. That'd be pretty good. I got to say, I flew the 747 the other day, and in this, and it's so good. It's so good. It's just really good. Like, you sit in that cockpit, and just everything is just like so well done, like so perfectly done. Everything from the cup holders to the decor, the color scheme, and everything's just perfect. Really exciting. So that's good. I guess if you're wanting to, am I on track? Yes, I am. Yeah, I am. If you're wanting to do a really long distance flight, planes like the 747 and the A320 and the Cessna Citation, which is the business jet, they're going to be really useful for those long distance flights, like the intercontinental flights, like where you go from, from the Americas to Europe or something like that, like flying right across, the Atlantic or the Pacific. So, if you're wanting to do like a 12-hour flight or something, or fly from London to Sydney, what is that, like a 21-hour flight? If you want to do something really hardcore like that, there's few aircraft that can do it. I'd say that the ones that can do it are the heavy jets and the business jets. Fuel is way less than half. What about a Concorde? That would be something, wouldn't it? I really wish they didn't retire the Concorde in real life. Also, a great hope was that Microsoft would also release Combat Sim. They've done, I think it's 3 Combat Sims so far, all of them World War II, and I was hoping that they'd release a Combat Sim World War II again, or a jet Combat Sim, imagine that. But I don't think they have any desire to do that, but if they did, oh, it would be so sick. I'd be all over that. Undoubtedly, it's a breakthrough. And I think the team that worked on it, I'm sure there's multiple teams, but the one that comes to mind is Asobo. I think Asobo is a French company. And I think they did this one video game that I was going to get, but I never did, was you play it as a like a girl. I think it's a girl and her younger brother or something. And they're in old Europe during the Black Plague, and they're wandering around in France during the Black Plague. They've got to survive, and I don't know if there's any kind of like point to the game other than that. It's just like, but it looked like a really good demonstration of like amazing graphics and stuff like that, like, you know, deciduous leaves, or autumn leaves falling. It's just like spectacular graphics. And so that's the same company that did that video game. They're the ones that have done Microsoft Flight Sim. I don't think they have any Flight Sim pedigree at all, but they've managed to pull off something pretty good here. So kudos to them, props to them. Am I on track? No, I'm not. I've got to keep going to the right. Keep drifting to the left. I wonder if there's a wind. Doesn't seem to be much wind about. The clouds aren't really moving. If it's real-time cloud, it must also be real-time wind if there is any. I'm heading south. That's too far to the right, although that'll compensate me out for drifting too far to the left. No joke, if you wanted to learn how to fly a Cessna 152, this would be your ideal training mechanism kind of thing. There's one other thing you can do with this, I think, is you can, in the settings, you can set it to, I mean, I've got it set just to be reliable. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to have an engine failure or anything like that, like a random engine failure. But you can set the settings to make that kind of thing more likely to happen. Usually in Sims I leave that off. It just gets annoying, especially if a engine failure comes up every 10 minutes when you're in combat. It's just like, oh really, again? We are on track 150. Look at this scenery, it's glorious. currently flying over the area that's to the north of Melbourne, and we're heading south roughly towards Melbourne. I think we'll be there in about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. So you got a bank of radios there as well. You can adjust the frequency on the radios. So you can have a frequency on standby, and then you can have one that's active, and you can switch between them. Com, nav. So you've got two radios for communication and 2 radios for navigation. So you could have 1, 2, 3, 4 frequencies teed up at any one time. This is pretty useful if you wanted to practice using one of these radios and just get the hang of it. That'd be pretty good. And you have what looks to be a transponder here. That's also pretty cool. There's the engine meter that says the plane's got 77 hours on it, 77.1 hours on it. So that's also exceptionally cool that they've got that. See what I mean? The whole plane is really modelled just so well. So I think you could really get involved in this game. At the moment, I'm just luxuriating in the scenery. It's just amazing. This is just regular old farmland. Imagine flying over the I don't know. Imagine flying over the savannah in Africa or something. You might see an elephant. There might be a squadron of elephants or something. A herd of elephants. Apparently there's animals in this game, so heck, I haven't seen any kangaroos yet or any cattle or sheep. If this was real, there'd be sheep and cattle and quite a few kangaroos and birds, of course. And I've drifted again. Got to go to the right one. Menu for airport towers. I bet you there'd be all of the data and everything that you need for the correct frequency, for the correct area, and so on. Looks like the weather's getting slightly worse up ahead. It's probably really going to suck trying to find the airport and get down in one piece. Oh well, I'm up for a challenge. The only thing I really don't want to happen is I don't want to run out of fuel. Got about a quarter left. Yeah, you can fly across continental Europe. That would be, and I'm going to do that, of course. That'd be really spectacular. Getting 71 frames a second at the moment. That was indoors. Out at exterior view, I'm getting the same 70 odd frames a second on the exterior view. 76. Huh. It went up. So we got dams, we got farms, we got vineyards, which is very accurate. Lots of vineyards. And we got bushland. And we got zero visibility up ahead, I think. Bit of blue sky up there. Oh no, it's not too bad. Not too bad. Wow, spectacular. Darwin to Perth in a bush plane. Darwin to Perth in a bushland. That would be sick. Some of the most remotest regions ever you'd be going over. That'd be so amazing. There's a pipe. There's a Piper Cub in this. Some kind of a souped up modern version of Piper Cub, which is definitely a bush plane. Like I think it's got the Tundra tires and everything. That was a bit of a range. Macedon Ranges, is it? And that weather. Right, so the situation is we're probably 5 minutes away from the city outskirts. We got a quarter fuel left. The visibility is getting worse, but the day is getting hotter and hotter. We're getting towards closer to the centre of the day, so there's every incentive for the cloud to heat up and to lift. So I'm thinking that we're going to be okay. I think most people would call this a quantum leap in flight sims. The previous Microsoft Flight Simulator, what was it? Flight Sim X or something? Flight Sim 10. I'm a hardcore combat flight sim enthusiast, particularly World War II and World War One. But I never ever bought flight sim like the civilian Microsoft Flight Sim, because to me it just looked crap, to be honest with you. Don't get me wrong, I liked Microsoft Combat Flight Simulator circa 2000. That was awesome. It remains as one of the most awesome combat flight sims ever. That's why I say if Microsoft ever has any inkling of an interest in making Combat Flight Simulator 2021, I'm fully supportive of that, because they are actually really good at that. They've proven it. But yeah, the previous Microsoft Flight Simulators, I had no interest in them at all, the civilian ones. Now I've been drifting to the left quite a bit, and the frame rate's going, it's okay, but before it wasn't so good. Remember, I'm flying over areas that I've pre-cached, so before this flight, during the day, I cached all of these areas, which took me a long time, like about an hour. And I think I'm drifting off of my cached area. I wonder if that has an impact on the FPS. I don't think it does. It's more to do with the scenery than the performance. Trying to veer to the west a bit here. How green is it now? this was real life, there'd be shitloads of sheep down there, sheep and cows. Sheep and those black and white cows that you see in farms. And the cattle, the herd of cattle had probably chased the plane. That frame rate's going a bit. Got down to 20 FPS there. I don't know why. That is really nice. Look at that. I wouldn't mind. No, it's mountain range there. I wouldn't mind flying Vegas. I think Vegas would be pretty cool. So what's been happening is I've been endeavouring to maintain 150 or 160, but I keep drifting to the left and ending up at about 120. So I'm going to be a bit off track here. It doesn't matter. The city of Melbourne's got to be 100 kilometres from end to end, so you can't miss it. This is very good. Even banking to the right like I am, I've still drifted. Oh no, I'm going south. I think either the aircraft is like banking of its own accord, or maybe there's a crosswind going to the east. If there is, it's pretty subtle, it's not very strong, but yeah. So again, this is not perfect. Earlier today I flew over a farmer's field that was hay, and it was a hay field, and it was full of hay bales, and it was full of actually stacks of hay bales. So in the country they'll get square hay bales, and then or the circular, the cylindrical ones, and they'll stack them high. They'll stack them so that they're about 2 or 3 stories high, and about probably 60 metres long, and 10 metres wide, and 2 or 3 stories high. And the Azure AI, or whatever it's called, decided that those huge stacks of hay bales were actually houses, and it kept the colour and the texture of the hay bales, but it decided to add windows on the side of this big stacks of hay bales. So yeah, it ain't perfect. It's definitely not. You can see where it's flawed. It's quite rudimentary in some ways, but it's still, overall it's just mega impressive. And on albeit my rig is upgraded, but this is a 2016 rig. Again, it's been upgraded with better GPUs and that. There's a train station. But this rig seems to be handling this just fine, which which is a relief. Don't quite need to upgrade the CPU and the power supply just yet, and so on. Next question is, where the heck are we? We're still going 150, which is perfect. How's the fuel? Oh, we're at a quarter fuel right now. We got a quarter fuel left. I was hoping to see the city by now. I'll check the map in a few minutes if I don't see it. I've done this entire flight at about 1,000 to 2,000 feet. Yeah, there's so many good areas to check out, particularly like all the picturesque areas in the Alps, around Switzerland and northern Italy, that kind of Austria, that kind of area. Big mountains, gliding. Mountains good for gliding and that kind of stuff. Be pretty cool. You can see all of this stuff on Google Earth and on Bing. I guess it's Bing Maps. This is based on Bing Maps, I believe. I don't know, but the difference is that this is three-dimensional, fully three-dimensional, with all the trees and so on added, the overlay of trees and buildings and so on, cars. The Grampians would be a pretty decent one to check out. That's a pretty significant mountain range, and also off in the direction that I'm looking there, you'd have the ski fields. The Australian ski fields, both in Victoria and in New South Wales. I think am I seeing suburbs? I think we're starting to see suburbs. That cloud has lifted a bit. We even got some blue sky. My frame rate dropped there pretty badly. It's gone back up again, but that was a bit of a worry. Someone's got some advertising there. easyelectronics.com.au. That could be under a flight path. That might be a smart move, actually. If hundreds of passengers see it every day. It's going a bit funny. And we're now sitting on about a quarter fuel. Alright, I'm going to check the map. Well, we are really close. Just depends where you want to land. We got Melbourne Airport just to our right, and then a bit further on we've got Essendon. I might fly over Melbourne Airport and then go and land at Essendon so I can get a look at both of them. I think that's what that is. Yeah, oh, I can see aircraft down there. So I'll go here and then I'll chuck a left and I'll head towards Essendon. So you got real-time AI traffic, so yeah, there's at least 2 aircraft down there. Most of those on the ground would be static objects or they'd be AI. But then I can see 2 over there with their nav lights on, and those are big players, I would say. I can see a jet coming in. It's probably an AI jet. And so there's 2 planes over there, and there's the jet there. There's the airport. The airport looks pretty basic. There's not much shape to it, or there's not much detail to it, but that's the settings that I have more than anything. Getting 55 frames a second now. This is still not too bad. It's almost 60. Better than when I started. The first day that I tried this, I was getting 14 frames a second on the highest graphics settings. Someone's landed an A320neo, and that is a cool plane. The wing design on those airliners, the A320 and the 747, is so nice, so efficient. Those wings, depending on how they're configured them, they can fly really slow and they can fly really fast. They're really impressive the way they've designed them. Right, so that's Melbourne Airport, I think. Looks like it. And now I'm going to turn left and try and get to the next airport, which is a smaller one called Essendon. And we might run into some cloud there, I guess. Moscow to London. I also tried flying. I tried starting. I looked on the globe map and found an island. There's another light over there, another nav light. I found an island really far south on the globe, like not in Antarctica, but like 500 kilometers from Antarctica or something. And I flew a Piper Cub there, and instantly it got covered in ice. The windscreen and the leading edge of the wing got covered in ice. It was still able to fly though, but that was a very eerie thing, being on this island, literally in the middle of absolutely nowhere, so far south on the Earth, in Antarctic temperatures and so on. You can see a control tower there. I think this must be Essendon. So yeah, great times to be had with this sim for sure. You got to have all the equipment and stuff, and you got to have a decent rig to run it. Heck, I could do a rig upgrade now to run this damn thing. But I mean, it is working. And so here's Essendon Airport. I got plenty of fuel. I could even actually keep going and make it back to Moorabbin. I might actually do that, just to finish things off. Essendon. Essendon's a small airport, but it's not that small, is it? And this is one of these airports that's been here for a long time. Essendon Fields. And it's been here so long that it's since become, what the heck is that? It's since become surrounded by suburbs. A bit like Tempelhof in Berlin. They built a passenger airport in the centre of a city, and over time it got completely surrounded by houses, and as it goes, then everyone that's in the houses gets subjected to the noise of the airfield, and then they shut the airfield down because it's too noisy, even though it's been there for a long time. There goes that beacon. I heard about this. There's like an error. There's an error in this. So in this is a northern suburb of Melbourne, and it's got this. Just to let you know, in real life, that's not there. What is it doing there? No one knows. It's some kind of an error. Let's check it out again. If it was real, it'd definitely be the highest skyscraper in the world, wouldn't it? Some kind of a graphical anomaly. The Saints, that's it. The Saints being an Australian football club, AFL football. Whoa, I see a pit special or something down there. Someone's flying a pit special around it. That's pretty cool. It's a skyscraper, isn't it? And that, yeah, he's doing. All he needs now is King Kong. Just needs King Kong at the top of the skyscraper, and we've got a complete picture there. Damn, that is tall. There he goes. So there you go. This is a multiplayer aspect of flight sim, and that's obviously pretty awesome that you can be flying around with other aircraft as well that are piloted by other humans. And there's another aircraft there. What is it? What is that plane there? Whoa, it's lagging a bit, bloody hell. Let's see if we can intercept. Let's see if we can intercept that plane that's lagging so much. What is he? I think it's a 172. It's flying in a funny way. He seems to be continuously stalling. Is it a Cub? Is it the Piper Cub? What the heck? There's a glider or something. What am I looking at? Ah, it's a Cub. It's a Piper Cub. I'm gonna run out of fuel. I better keep going. Where's the skyscraper as well? Has it just disappeared? No, there it is. Spotting is aircraft visibility is a hotly discussed topic in flight sims. I wonder how the visibility goes in this. So far it seems pretty good. So we got the biplane. I think it's a pit special. And we got this one here. It's the Cub. I think they're giving it some new name like Turbo Cub or Super Cub or something. But anyways, it's based on the Piper Cub. I think it's a Piper J3 Cub. And there he is there. Studios. Well, that is awesome if you ask me. There he goes. So to get back to where I was, I was thinking space elevator. It's what it's reminiscent of. So there's, check that out. I think that's S and we've gained some altitude. What are we at? 2.5. Still pretty low. And that bloody cloud's back. We got a river down there. Yeah, that guy looked like he was flying by the keyboard. I am really looking forward to getting my new joystick. Ah, and there's Melbourne. Just appearing out of the mist. And we got something there. That's the botanical garden there, if I'm not mistaken. Very high speed right now. For this plane, that is. Whenever your speed gets into that yellow arc, it means it means don't do too much with the controls. And I can see Port Phillip Bay in the distance. Also, we're almost back to base, back to where we started. Am I going to make it? I am pushing my luck a bit, but yeah, I think so. There, yeah. There's the Yarra River. Tennis arena. I think that's Rod Laver. And I think we're flying over the Botanical Gardens right now. Yes, yeah. I think we're heading towards Caulfield Racecourse. I don't think we'll go over it though, but we're roughly in that area. There's Albert Park where the Grand Prix is. All in all, this has been pretty good fun, given that it's just general aviation, civilian aviation flight sim, which is normally up until now has been this kind of genre has been as boring as watching paint dry, not even as exciting as watching paint dry. This has been actually entertaining for me, and I hope for you as well. For me, it certainly has. Particularly battling the weather. The fact that the weather is real-time and dynamic is amazing. And the fact that it's multiplayer is a really good thing as well. the new Thrustmaster joystick that that comes out with this game kind of thing, it looks pretty good. I think it is a T16000 basically, like in the mechanics of it and everything, but it has the appearance of an Airbus joystick. I was looking, it's a side stick, it's a left hand or right hand side stick depending on which seat you're in, and I was looking at it in the A320neo yesterday and I was thinking, hey, I've seen that before. That's that Airbus T16000 Thrustmaster that I was going to buy. So they've done a good job of replicating the Airbus joystick. And it also has a special feature on it that the T16000 doesn't have. It has a switch or a button for reverse thrusters, so that'll be good for the jets. Yeah, got through that fog following the freeway. I think I can see the race course right there, or at least one of them. There's more than one, I believe. I think that's a shopping centre called Chadstone, a huge shopping centre, shopping mall. All right, so we're sort of in the St Kilda area, and now I'm going to look for the airport. Off to the left in about probably 5 minutes. How much fuel we got? Plenty of fuel. So you could do that in real life if you had a 152 Aerobat. On a tank of fuel you could fly from Moorabbin to Ballarat to Bendigo and then back to Melbourne and Essendon airports and then back to Moorabbin, all on the one tank of fuel. Thing is, I don't know if you'd have enough reserve fuel. You need to have reserve fuel. I believe you need to have 40 minutes of reserve fuel on top of the fuel that you're going to use. I can see a plane down there as well. You can see, I don't know if you guys can see that, the navigation lights, the green and the red or whatever it is. There must be Moorabbin there. I'll head in that direction. Unless someone's just put down in the suburbs. Check that out. It's a bit of a built-up area. I guarantee you either that in front of us or that there would be the Chadstone shopping mall. Where you can go and buy your Gucci or your iPhone or Prada or whatever, those kind of shops. It's one of the main roads. I think that road is called Nepean Highway. I think that's Nepean Highway. And it's full of traffic lights and it's very slow. It is Nepean Highway and there's one of the shopping malls right there. Yeah, that's, yeah. Where's the airport? There it is. Now for a landing, I guess. I'll land next to that other plane. How many planes we got moving down there? Just the one, I think. And he could be about to take off too. Is that a runway or a taxiway? You can see the windsock as well. This guy's lining up to take off. Pretty hard yakka trying to make that all happen. The controls are not good. I think the controls are just too responsive. Even if you dull them down, at the end of the curve, they just pick up their response again, and you end up getting to full control deflection with just the smallest movement like that. It's really horrible. Southland Shopping Centre. Probably could have done a better landing with the keyboard. I'm getting 54 frames a second right now. It looks like we've got a little bit of rain, which is an authentic touch. In the settings, you can adjust the amount for graphics optimization. You can adjust the amount of vehicles there are on the ground at airports, and also the amount of personnel on the ground, and the amount of static aircraft on the ground, and that sort of thing. So what you're seeing right there is with the amounts turned right down, but I can still see plenty of action going on, so that's something to note. That was a close call. So there we go. There we go, guys. We got a forklift there. A forklift. It's all happening. Car there. It's all happening. That forklift's cruising along. I don't know, did I just hear a bird? I think I might have heard a magpie. If I turn my engine off. I think they might have... What kind of noises do they have on the ground? I don't know. I can't hear any birds, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had birds. So there you go. I think there's plenty more to discover in this sim in terms of geographical regions and in terms of just the general features of the sim. It just seems like there's a lot to discover here, which is going to be pretty cool fun, I think. No worries, that was pretty fun, and hope to see you guys for the next one. If you have any suggestions where to fly next, write them here, or write them in the comments after the stream ends. If you come up with a cool idea, and I'll see if I can do it. So guys, that is it. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for joining us, and hope to see you the next one. Bye bye.